everybody. Welcome, fifth graders. You guys have a test on Friday in science on genetics or behavior and physical traits and characteristics. So I wanted to create a video to help you with your study guide. We're going to start off with just making sure that you guys know the difference between physical traits that are inherited and physical traits that are acquired. So physical traits are traits that we can see. So a physical trait might be your hair color, your height, your skin color, your eye color. An acquired physical trait, so an inherited physical trait is one that is passed down through biology, through biological relatives. It's in our DNA, and it is a trait that we would pass down through our DNA. An acquired physical trait is one you acquire or get later in life. So if you change your hair color or you get a scar, those are acquired. They're still visible on your body. They're still physical traits, but they were not born with you, and you will not pass them down to future generations. So I put our physical traits here in blue to help you remember that traits, physical and acquired, are both connected. Now, behavior is also connected. Behaviors are things that we witness happening. Behavior can be like physical traits. They can be inherited or instinctual, very similar, or they could be acquired or learned, very similar, which is why these are both yellow and these are both green, because they're connected. So what's the difference between a physical trait and a behavior? Remember, a physical trait is one that we can see. It makes up what we look like, whereas a behavior is an action that we become engaged in. So as we go through the test, let's keep those definitions in mind. There's a bear who lives in the park who has inherited traits and learned behaviors. The bear has a good sense of smell, climbs trees, hangs around picnic tables looking for food, and does tricks for rewards. Which two of the traits are learned behaviors? Well, we can say for certainty that hanging around a picnic table looking for food and doing tricks for rewards are learned behaviors. We may not be sure of the climbing trees, but we are sure of these other two options. And we know that a good sense of smell is not a behavior. That would be a physical trait. So how do you know that these are learned behaviors? Because bears are not learning how to walk up to picnic tables and swipe food or beg for food or do tricks. They learn that through experience. Let's try another one. Here are characteristics of cats in the wild. So cats in the wild have sharp teeth, have good eyesight in the dark, hunt in packs, and their kittens can be hunted by owls and hawks or other prey, birds of prey. So what question could be asked to find out which characteristics of cats in the wild is an instinct? So remember, when we're talking about instinct, we're talking about behavior that they were born with. Okay? So how does wild cat's sharp teeth help them hunt? Is not a behavior that they were born with. The hunting might be, but the sharp teeth are not. That would be a physical trait. Why do wildcats hunt in packs? How does good eyesight help cats hunt? And why do owls hunt the kittens of wildcats? Well, the only choice about behaviors is hunting in packs. And so that makes that our best choice. We're assuming that cats hunt in packs because they're born learning that when they hunt in packs, that they will be safer. So pick two questions that can be asked to find out which characteristics of cats in the wild are inherited. So remember, if we're talking about inherited characteristics, we're talking about things that we can see that are passed down through biology and that will be passed down to future cats. So how does a wildcat's sharp teeth help them hunt, and how does good eyesight help them hunt? Are physical traits that are passed down from parents to offspring and will be passed down to future offspring. Why do they hunt in packs is a behavior. And why do owls hunt the kittens of wildcats is not asking us about characteristics of cats in the wild that are inherited. So here's a question that there are two of. When a swallow uses mud and grass to build its nest, what is it demonstrating? So swallows are birds, and they are not taught how to build nests. They learn that instinctually, or they have that instinctually. And so we would call that an instinctual behavior. Again, like a baby crying would be instinctual. I left this second one in here because you might also hear that as an inherited behavior. Remember, I showed you this chart, and inherited and instinctual, very similar. They're things that we're born with, and so you might see it different ways. Which of these following is an acquired behavior? Being able to knit, to roll your tongue, having blue eyes, or having a widow's peak. Remember, which is that little peak on your forehead with hair. So the only two items on here that are behaviors are knitting and rolling your tongue. And we learned in class that rolling your tongue is inherited. It is a behavior, but it's inherited. So being able to knit is acquired. So that's your only choice. Daphne and Velma are talking about their favorite singer. Some of the traits of that singer is that she was born in Athens, Georgia, has brown hair and green eyes, is 5 feet 6 inches tall, and can play 3 different instruments and sing. So which question would help Daphne and Velma, would just help Daphne and Velma determine which traits on the list is an inherited physical trait of the singer? Well, what does the singer like to play is not a physical trait. Where was the singer born? Not a physical trait. Why does the singer have brown hair and green eyes? Is a physical trait. Has the singer always been good at playing instruments and singing? Not a physical trait. So the only option is C. So if we look at a dog or a dingo, you notice that dingoes have large sharp teeth, large ears, yellow tan fur, a bushy tail with a white tip, and 4-toed feet with white markings. They also learn to hunt in packs and have scars from fights. So, which of the two are inherited traits? Well, any two of the sharp teeth, large ears, fur color, toes, or bushy tail would be inherited traits. So any one that you selected would be fine. List one trait that it's acquired. Well, learning to hunt when they're young and a scar would be acquired. Now, if it said a physical trait, we would know the scar. If it said behavioral trait, we would know the hunting, but it did not specify, so either one is fine. The bottlenose dolphin lives in the waters off of Tybee Island, Georgia. The list shows some characteristics of bottlenose dolphins. They can live 20 or more years. They'll protect its young by attacking sharks and other predators. They have long noses shaped like a bottle, which is where they get their name from. And they allow fishing boats and shrimping boats, or will follow fishing boats and shrimping boats. Which characteristics is a learned behavior? Well, can live 20 years or more is not a behavior. Protecting its baby is. Having long noses is not a behavior. It's a trait, physical trait, and will follow fishing boats and shrimping boats. And we can guess that fishing boats have not been around since the dawn of the bottlenose dolphin, and so that following fishing boats would be a learned behavior. It is possible that somewhere, at some point, they learned that they can attack their sharks and other predators, but mostly parents know instinctually, remember back up that word inherited and instinctually, to protect their young. A scientist observes a pair of penguins as they raise their chick. The adult penguin leaves the nest to hunt at a nearby ocean where they hunt for fish. Which question would the scientist most likely ask to determine whether fishing is an instinct or a learned behavior in penguins? Do the penguins eat anything other than fish? How old are the chicks when they start to fish? Will the adult penguin show the chicks how to fish? Or do all penguins eat the same type of fish? So, we can determine that if you're looking for instinct versus learned behavior, that will the adult penguins show the chicks how to fish will tell you if it's instinctual, which means no, they just automatically know how to do that, or learned, yes, they have been shown how to fish. Which of the following is an inherited behavior? Reading, eating, riding a bicycle, or playing a musical instrument. Okay, the only behavior that we are born knowing how to do is eating. So that's the best possible answer. And then lastly, we've got a student who observes a lion at the zoo. A zookeeper brings a box of dead meerkats, and the lions run over to the zookeeper and start eating the meerkats. Compare and contrast instincts and learned behaviors. So first you want to make sure that you say instincts are behaviors that individuals are born with. Learned behaviors are behaviors or actions that we are taught to do from others or that we teach ourselves how to do. Write at least one question that would help you figure out whether running to the box to eat the meerkats is an instinctual or learned behavior. So you can ask a couple different questions. Did the lions eat dead meerkats in the wild? If they do, you might know, oh, well, that's instinctual because they love to eat dead meerkats. So the zookeepers are just bringing something that they automatically would do anyway. Or did the zookeeper teach the lions to eat the meerkats in the box? One of those questions would help you determine whether this is an instinct or a learned behavior. And now, explain how the answer to your question would help you determine whether running to the box to eat the meerkat is an instinct or a learned behavior. If the lions eat dead meerkats in the wild, I would determine that they found the meerkats in the box and decided to eat them. That would mean that it was instinctual. Or I could say, if the zookeeper taught the lions to eat the meerkats while they're in the box, this would be a learned behavior. So I hope that you guys are all prepared for your test on Friday. If you study your study guide and even listen to this a couple times, you should be super prepared, and I expect to see all A's. Best of luck.